It's a funny thing about life. Most people want to change their circumstances, but they don't want to change themselves. They say, I want a better life, but they keep thinking the same thoughts, doing the same things, and expecting different results. But let me tell you something. If you want to change your life, you must first change your mindset. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you plant weeds, you're going to get weeds. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and negativity, guess what you're going to harvest? A life full of doubt, fear, and negativity. But if you plant seeds of discipline, courage, and belief, what will you reap? A life filled with purpose, growth, and success. Now, here's the big question. What kind of seeds are you planting? Because the truth is, whatever you're planting in your mind is exactly what you're going to harvest in your life. Now, let me tell you a little story. There was a man who went to Jim Rohn and said, Jim, I'm broke. My life is a mess. What can I do to change it? And Jim said, change your mind. Because if you keep thinking like a broke man, you're going to stay a broke man. You see, our minds are powerful. They're like the steering wheel of our lives. Wherever the mind goes, the life follows. If you're always thinking about problems, lack, and limitation, then that's exactly where your life will go. But if you start thinking about solutions, opportunities, and possibilities, guess what happens? Your life begins to shift in that direction. But here's the challenge. Changing your mindset isn't a one-time event. It's not like flipping a light switch. It's a daily practice. It's about becoming conscious of what you're thinking and asking yourself, is this thought serving me? Is this belief helping me grow? Because here's the truth. You can't plant seeds of doubt and expect a harvest of confidence. You can't plant seeds of fear and expect to reap courage. You can't plant seeds of laziness and expect a life of success. It just doesn't work that way. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a good, hard look at your thoughts. What are you planting in the garden of your mind? Are you planting seeds of growth or are you planting seeds of limitation? And if you find that you're planting seeds that aren't serving you, it's time to start pulling out those weeds. It's time to plant new seeds. Seeds of possibility, seeds of faith, seeds of relentless determination. Because here's the thing, you can't change your life until you change your mind. And the moment you decide to change your mind, that's the moment your life begins to change. So what are you going to plant today? Because whatever you plant, you will harvest. Now let's go deeper. Let's talk about the real power of your thoughts. You see, every thought you think is like a little command you're sending to your mind. Think of it like programming a computer. If you tell it, I'm not good enough, guess what? Your mind will find every reason to prove you right. It will pull up every past failure, every mistake, every time you fell short, and soon you'll start to believe it. But what if you start programming your mind with thoughts of possibility? What if you say, I am capable of great things? Your mind will go to work, finding every reason to prove that true. It will remind you of every success, every victory, every compliment, every win. And soon, you'll start to believe that too. Now, here's the problem. Most people have been programming their minds with negativity for so long that they don't even realize they're doing it. It's like running a computer on outdated software and wondering why it keeps crashing. So how do you reprogram your mind? Well, it starts with becoming aware of your thoughts. Pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. Are you building yourself up or are you tearing yourself down? Jim Rohn used to say, you have to stand guard at the door of your mind every day. That means being intentional about what you allow in. If you let in negativity, self-doubt, and fear, guess what's going to take root? But if you allow in positivity, faith, and self-belief, you're going to create a mind that works for you, not against you. So here's an exercise for you. For the next 24 hours, I want you to become a watcher of your thoughts. Just observe them without judgment. Notice every time you say something negative about yourself. Notice every time you doubt your abilities. And then consciously flip the script. Replace that negative thought with a powerful, positive affirmation. Because here's the truth, you can't control every thought that enters your mind, but you can control which ones you choose to focus on, and the thoughts you focus on will become the beliefs that shape your life. So, what are you choosing to focus on? Are you focusing on what you can't do or what you can do? Are you focusing on what you lack or what you have? Are you focusing on your limitations or your potential? Because whatever you focus on will expand, so choose wisely. Now let's move to the next step, habits. If your thoughts are the seeds, your habits are the daily water and sunshine. They are the small actions repeated over time that determine the harvest you receive. A man once asked, "How do I change my life?" The answer is simple, but not easy. Change one habit at a time. Start with your mornings. Jim Rohn believed in starting the day with intention. He'd say, either you run the day or the day runs you. What's your morning routine like? Are you jumping out of bed in a rush, checking your phone, reacting to the world? Or are you starting your day with purpose, reading, reflecting, planning? The way you begin your day often determines how your day goes, and the way your days go, that's how your life goes. So here's the challenge. Design a morning habit that empowers you. Start with just 30 minutes each morning. Read something uplifting. Write down your goals. Visualize your success. Take care of your body. Feed your mind. Because small disciplines repeated with consistency lead to big results over time. Success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. And how do you become that person? Through your habits, through the things you do daily that shape your character, fuel your vision, and strengthen your mindset. So, the next step in changing your life is simple. Start building the right habits. Don't try to change everything overnight. Pick one habit, stick with it, master it. Then move to the next, because in the end, it's not what you do once in a while that changes your life. It's what you do consistently. Your mindset shapes your habits. Your habits shape your future. So decide today, what new habit will you begin tomorrow morning? Let me start with a fundamental truth that changed my life. Your thoughts create your reality. That might sound like a simple idea, but don't let its simplicity fool you. It's one of the most powerful truths you'll ever encounter. Most people are walking around like they're victims of circumstances, when in reality, they're just victims of their own thinking. You see, your mind is a factory, and whether you realize it or not, you're the head foreman. Every single day, you issue instructions to that factory through your thoughts. If you wake up and say, "I'm tired, I can't do this," nothing good ever happens to me, that factory starts producing excuses, low energy, and bad outcomes. But if you wake up and say, "I've got another shot today, I can improve, I can make something happen," suddenly that factory starts producing ideas, solutions, energy. Now, why is that important? Because nothing changes until your thinking changes. Jim Rohn used to say, "For things to change, you have to change." And change begins in the mind. Most people want better health, better relationships, more money, more success. But they want all of that without changing what's happening between their ears. And that's just not how it works. You don't get the fruit without planting the right seed. You can't harvest corn if you planted crabgrass. Let me tell you a little story. There was a young man who came to me once and said, "Jim, I just want to be rich." I said, "That's great. What kind of books are you reading?" He looked at me confused. "Books? I don't read." I said, "That's the problem right there. You want to change your bank account, but you haven't changed your mindset. Rich people think differently than broke people. Healthy people think differently than sick people. Confident people think differently than those who are filled with doubt and fear. It all starts in the mind. If you're always thinking small, living small is all you'll ever do. If you're constantly thinking about your problems, you're going to keep attracting more problems. But if you start thinking about possibilities, if you start believing in solutions, you start attracting answers, ideas, and people who can help you grow. That's the law of life. Your outer world will always reflect your inner world. Now, some folks hear this and they say, "Well, Jim, I can't help what I think. Thoughts just come into my head." And sure, that's true. Thoughts come and go. But you know what you can control, which ones you dwell on, which ones you water, which ones you allow to take root. Think of your mind like a garden. Every day, seeds are landing there. Some are weeds, fear, doubt, negativity. Others are flowers, belief, hope, vision. You can't always control what seeds fall in, but you can decide what grows. Pull the weeds, water the flowers. When you start to consciously choose your thoughts, when you start to stand guard at the door of your mind, that's when everything changes. You begin to take control. You begin to write your own story instead of just reading someone else's. Now, I'm not saying this is easy, but I am saying it's necessary. Changing your mindset is a daily practice. Just like you wouldn't go to the gym one day and expect to be in shape for life, you can't think one positive thought and expect your life to change forever. No. It's about daily discipline. It's about catching yourself when the old patterns creep in and replacing them with new ones. You've got to replace "I can't" with "how can I?" You've got to swap "I'm not good enough" with "I'm learning and growing." You've got to stop saying "this is just the way I am" and start saying "this is who I'm becoming." The words you speak become the house you live in. So here's what I recommend. Start small. Each morning, before you pick up your phone or check your email, take 5 minutes to direct your thinking. Read something uplifting. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Speak out loud one powerful belief you want to adopt. I'm disciplined. I'm courageous. I'm building a better future. Because those little practices add up. Those little thoughts become big beliefs, and big beliefs change your behavior, and your behavior determines your results. So, what's the lesson here? You want to change your life? Start by changing the way you think. Stop waiting for the world to change. Change your thoughts, and the world will begin to respond. It's not magic, it's mindset. You don't get in life what you want. You get in life who you are. And who you are is shaped by how you think. Guard your thoughts. Choose them carefully because your thoughts are the architects of your destiny. Now that we've laid the foundation, that your thoughts shape your reality, let's go one step deeper. Because it's not just your thoughts that change your life. It's the actions those thoughts lead to. In other words, your habits. Your habits are a reflection of your mindset. If you change your mindset, your habits will follow. And if you change your habits, your future changes permanently. You see, we become what we repeatedly do. Success doesn't happen in a day. Neither does failure. It's a slow accumulation of actions, repeated daily, that eventually forms the direction of our life. If your thinking is sharp, your habits will show it. But if your thinking is careless, your routines will reveal it, and so will your results. Now, let me give it to you straight. Most people don't have a results problem. They have a habit problem. And underneath that habit problem, a mindset problem. Someone says, "Jim, I just can't stick to a schedule." I say, that's not a time management issue. That's a mindset issue. You don't value your time because you don't believe it matters. Change your mindset, and suddenly your calendar becomes sacred. Another person says, "I can't seem to get motivated to work out." That's not a discipline issue. That's a self-worth issue. When you don't see yourself as valuable, you don't act like someone who deserves health and strength. Change your mindset and you start treating your body differently. Here's something I learned early. You can't outperform your mindset. If you think like someone who's average, your actions will be average, no matter how talented you are. But if you start thinking like someone who's world class, you'll start forming habits that move you in that direction, not overnight, but over time. That's the power of daily disciplines. They're not always exciting, but they are always effective. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a young man who came up to me after one of my seminars. He said, "Jim, I've been trying to change my life for years, but I keep falling back into the same old habits." I said, "What's your morning routine like?" He shrugged. "I don't really have one." Ah, there it is. You see, your mornings set the tone for your day, and your day becomes your life. Start the day reacting, hitting snooze, rushing, scrolling, stressing, and you'll spend the whole day behind. But start it with intention, planning, reading, stretching your mind, and you'll start pulling ahead. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, and failure? It's simply a few errors in judgment repeated daily. The guy who skips one workout doesn't see the result that day, but give it 90 days. He feels it. The woman who reads for 10 minutes every morning doesn't become a genius overnight, but give her a year. She's grown. Quietly. Powerfully. Your habits compound. They're like small deposits in the bank of your future. Do enough of the right ones long enough, and you're rich, not just in money, but in health, wisdom, and confidence. Do the wrong ones, and you're bankrupt, not just financially, but mentally and emotionally. So, here's the big takeaway. If you want to change your life, don't start with goals. Start with habits. Start with what you're doing every day, even when nobody's watching, especially when nobody's watching. Here's a simple formula for lasting change. Change your mindset. You start believing differently. Believe differently. You start acting differently. Act differently. You start living differently. But it all starts with the mindset. And once that shifts, you'll find it easier to build the habits that create a better life. So how do you start? Choose one habit. Just one. That aligns with the future you want. Make it simple, doable, and specific. Not get healthy, but walk 20 minutes a day. Not read more, but read 10 pages before bed. Tie that habit to your identity. Don't just walk, become a person who values health. Don't just read, become someone who feeds their mind daily. Habits are easier to stick to when they're part of who you are. Be consistent. Forget motivation. Build systems. Motivation comes and goes, but systems keep you steady. If you want long-term change, don't rely on willpower. Rely on structure. Remember this: discipline is the bridge between thought and achievement. Your habits are that bridge in action. Jim Rohn used to say, "What's easy to do is also easy not to do." It's easy to read 10 pages, and it's easy to skip it. It's easy to take a walk, and easy to stay on the couch. That's why most people don't change, because they underestimate the power of small actions done daily. Don't fall for the lie that big success comes from big leaps. It comes from small steps, taken consistently with the right mindset guiding them. Your mindset sets the direction. Your habits get you there. If mindset is the seed and habits are the roots, then environment is the soil. No matter how good your intentions are, if you plant yourself in poor soil, your growth will be limited. One of the biggest lessons I ever learned, and I hope you hear me on this, is that your environment shapes you more than you realize. Your environment either nourishes your mindset or it poisons it. And most people, sadly, are stuck in toxic soil, wondering why they're not growing. Now let me break that down the way Mr. Schaff once broke it down for me. He said, Jim, if you hang around with losers, you're going to lose. You hang around broke thinkers, and you'll be broke, even if you're earning money. You hang around people who whine, who complain, who never read a book. That stuff will rub off. And he was right. You see, environment isn't just the physical space you're in. It's the people you associate with, the conversations you entertain, the media you consume, and the atmosphere you allow into your life. Every one of these elements either strengthens or weakens your mindset. Let's start with people. You've heard it before. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's not just a catchy quote. It's a law. Spend enough time with negative thinkers and you'll start thinking negatively. But spend time with driven, disciplined, growth-minded people, your standards will rise just to stay in the room. I remember years ago, I started spending time with a group of successful entrepreneurs. At first, I was nervous. I felt behind. But guess what happened? My thinking expanded. I stopped saying, "Can I?" and started asking, "How can I?" I stopped thinking in thousands and started thinking in millions, all because I changed the room I was in. Sometimes, if you want a better life, you don't need to work harder. You just need to change rooms. Next, let's talk about the content you consume. What are you putting in your mind every day? Social media, the news, gossip, drama, junk. That stuff clogs up your thinking. It distracts. It clouds your vision. But if you feed your mind with good material, books, podcasts, audiobooks, mentors, courses, you sharpen your mind. You raise your awareness. And remember, you can't solve level 10 problems with level 2 thinking. So here's a challenge. Audit your inputs. For 1 week, track what you listen to, watch, and read. Then ask yourself, is this feeding my future or feeding my fears? Because every input either strengthens your mindset or sabotages it. And then we've got your physical space. Listen, you don't have to live in a mansion to have a growth environment. You just need order, a clean desk, a dedicated space to think, a calendar on the wall, a whiteboard with your goals, a few good books in arm's reach. I used to tell people, your environment is a silent coach. It's either whispering, "Stay lazy," or "Step it up." If your home is chaotic, your mind will be too. If your workspace is cluttered, your thinking will reflect that. But if your surroundings are intentional, even simple, they signal to your brain this is a place where progress happens. Now let's talk about atmosphere. You ever walk into a room and just feel the energy? Some rooms are full of stress, doubt, and limitation. Others are filled with possibility, optimism, and drive. You can feel it. And here's the secret. You can create it. Play uplifting music in the morning. Light a candle. Post a quote that stirs your soul. Create rituals that elevate your energy. Even something as simple as making your bed, putting on a clean shirt, and sitting up straight. It all builds atmosphere. Because discipline creates dignity, and dignity fuels mindset. So what's the big idea here? Your mindset doesn't exist in a vacuum. It grows or dies based on the environment it's in. Want to change your mindset permanently? Change what's around you. Start by upgrading your associations. Hang around people who talk about ideas, not just people. Find mentors, even if they're authors or voices in your earbuds. Their thinking becomes your thinking over time. Then upgrade your inputs. Read for 10 minutes a day. Watch less noise. Listen to more wisdom. Feed your future. And finally, upgrade your atmosphere. Clean up, lighten up, design a space that matches the person you're becoming. Jim Rohn used to say, stand guard at the door of your mind. But I'll take it one step further. Stand guard at the gates of your environment. Because if you protect your environment will protect your mindset. And if your mindset is protected, your future is too. Now we come to the final, and, perhaps most important, piece of this message. Your future is not something you wait for. It's something you build, moment by moment, in the present. One of the biggest mindset shifts I ever made, and I encourage you to make it too, is this. Success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. Think about that. We've been taught to chase success, hustle for it, run after it. But Jim Rohn would say, success is looking for a good place to stay. And that place is you. Not the you that's distracted, discouraged, or doubting. The you that's growing, stretching, and living with intention. You see, the decisions you make today, how you spend your time, who you surround yourself with, what you feed your mind, what habits you reinforce, those choices are laying the bricks of your future. Every moment, you are either creating a future you'll be proud of, or one you'll wish you could escape from. Here's what I've learned. Most people don't change their lives because they keep waiting for a perfect moment. But there is no perfect moment. There is only now. Right now. Now is when you decide. Now is when you rewrite your story. Now is when you say, no more drifting. It's time to drive. Because the future isn't some distant event. The future is shaped by what you think, feel, and do. Right here. Right now. So let me ask you, who are you becoming today? You're either building a mindset of fear or of faith, a mindset of excuses or of ownership, a mindset of scarcity or of abundance. You can't build both. You have to choose. And if you don't choose, life will choose for you. And life doesn't always choose kindly. But if you take control, if you start showing up every day like your life depends on it, you'll begin to see something amazing. Small daily actions led by a powerful mindset lead to breakthroughs, not overnight, but absolutely, without a doubt, over time. Maybe you've heard this before, but let me repeat it. It's not what happens to you that determines your future. It's what you do about what happens. It's not the economy. It's not the government. It's not your boss. It's your philosophy, your attitude, your choices. And here's the beautiful truth. You are 100% responsible for those. That's the gift and the challenge. It means you can no longer blame your past, but it also means you are free to create your future. So let me leave you with 3 closing thoughts: practical, powerful, and personal. Get clear on your vision. You can't hit a target you can't see, so define it. Write it down. What kind of person do you want to become? What kind of life do you want to live? Clarity creates confidence, and confidence creates action. Commit to the process, not just the outcome. Anyone can set a goal, but few stick to the process. The people who win in life are the ones who fall in love with the daily disciplines, the journaling, the reading, the phone calls, the early mornings. Those aren't punishments, they're investments. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. We talked about this already, but it bears repeating. Who you run with determines how far you run. Find a circle that challenges you, not just comforts you. Grow with them, push each other, celebrate progress. That's how champions are made. And finally, remember this: change is possible. Growth is available. But neither happens on accident. You've got to choose it daily. If you change your mindset, you change your habits. If you change your habits, you change your environment. If you change your environment, you change your direction. And if you change your direction, you change your life. Simple? Yes. Easy? Not always. Worth it? Always. As Jim Rohn would say, you cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. So today, I encourage you. Choose your new direction. Walk boldly, think clearly, act intentionally, because your new life is already here. It's just waiting for the mindset that can hold it.